Boy, cameras. Okay, so for the past few months, I've kind of realized that I really need a third camera. For a lot of the work that I do, I need a camera that is completely rigged up as an A cam with a top handle, a side handle, a nice, super bright, awesome monitor, a V-mount battery, and a shotgun and lavalier combo. Really the whole 9 yards. And I need this rig to follow a human subject in the field or set up with a long lens on a tripod to film wildlife from a distance. I also need an underwater camera. The vast majority of my non-human subjects are cetacea, and I've also been working on a project involving kelp forests, so having an underwater camera is absolutely crucial. I also need a camera that can fit on a gimbal. When filming underwater isn't really possible, having a nice stabilized rig to capture marine life at the surface is really, really important. You know, when putting together ocean productions, you really need those 3 different angles, right? You need an underwater angle, you need the top side kind of eye level angle that needs to be stabilized, and you need an aerial perspective as well. And lastly, I need a vlogging camera. I've been getting way more into YouTube content and kind of behind the scenes content of me filming wildlife. And you know, I've been using these little Action 5 Pros with the DJI mics, which work pretty great. But at the end of the day, this is an action camera. I'd really like something with a little bit more character and a little bit more depth. Oh, and I need a B cam for like interview style scenarios. So with the recent announcement of the Nikon ZR, I've really had to rethink some things. Let me explain. So my A cam here is the Red Komodo X. I absolutely adore this camera. I've used it in plenty of different shooting scenarios over the past year, and it's really shined in just about everything I put it through. So again, love this camera. I love the 16 stops of dynamic range, the red code raw, the small form factor, and ability to truly rig it as an A cam. 2 channels of XLR input, thumbs up. Robust metal design, thumbs up. The seamless integration with, you know, Red's monitor and Red's top handle, thumbs up. I've also configured a way to put this thing on a gimbal with a 7200. It's a little bit bulky, but for that eye level perspective, the image is stellar and it's really worked out. It took me some time to kind of get it to that point, but at the end of the day, I'm really happy with how it's looking. My B cam has been the Canon R5 that I'm recording this on now. And again, I've absolutely loved this camera since I first got it in 2021. It's been an absolute workhorse. I've literally put it through hell and back. The Sea of Express side door is completely broken. Some of the other buttons on top are broken as well. It's got salt corrosion all over it, but it's been an absolute tank. It's really been a pivotal camera in my career. The most beautiful moments of really my entire life and entire career were captured on this camera, so I really love the R5. When the Red is fully rigged up as an A cam, the R5 is usually on the gimbal or set up in an underwater housing. But taking a look at some of the specs and the form factor and everything that the ZR offers, I really think it could be used in like 4 or 5 different scenarios that I would need it to. And realistically, like just thinking about it, I think there's so many different scenarios in the future that I haven't even thought of that this camera can be used for. So here's what I love about it. I love the tiny footprint, the giant built-in monitor, red raw with a red log 310 profile, 12-bit, not 16-bit like the KX, but still great to match, dual base ISO, 7.5 stops of image stabilization. It's so freaking cheap for what it is. It's half the price of Canon's new C50. The Sea of Express Type B slot, I already have a bunch. An internal 32-bit float, are you kidding me? I think this would be the perfect camera to put on the gimbal. You know, it's small, it's lightweight, it's got a huge monitor. For real, it's like putting 32s on a Corolla or something. And would easily fit into, you know, a Pelican case to keep it safe and dry on the boat when I'm out filming on the ocean. I've really spent way too much time and energy getting the KX rigged up on the gimbal, and while I finally got it to a point where I'm happy with the image quality and everything, it's just kind of bulky. I mean, there's no really reason for it to be that big, you know, like putting the 7-inch monitor on there and running an RMI cable to it and then powering it with the V-mount and then having to run a focus motor to it. You know, when I'm filming by myself, especially when I'm driving myself on the ocean and filming at the same time, it's just a little bit bulky. And I really think I can get a similar image out of the ZR to the KX, and it'll be much less cumbersome. I love how big and nice the monitor is on the ZR. When sometimes will rig the R5 on the gimbal. It's really tough to really nail focus and exposure on this tiny little monitor. In the past, I've, rigged a Ninja 5 to it. But again, I just really want to keep it a little bit lighter and a little bit easier, especially if I'm filming and driving the boat. I would also love to see the underwater options that come out for the ZR. I can't even imagine how small they'll be. The Mirrorlux housing that I have for my R5 is great, but it's just a little bit heavy. When I'm on a boat with multiple different people, it just kind of gets in the way. Definitely traveling with it has kind of been a pain. Figuring out whether to put it in a giant suitcase with a bunch of clothes, or lately I'm just putting it in its own dedicated Pelican, but it's another piece of luggage I got to carry around. I really think just a small, powerful underwater camera setup that is super maneuverable in the water would just be so nice. And obviously the image out of this thing looks incredible as well. And again, going back to the monitor on the R5, when you're underwater, you have this tiny little screen. It's just tough to really nail things, so that big monitor would just be so nice. The dual base ISO of the ZR at 6400 would be stellar if it gets too dark underwater. Being able to match this footage to my Komodo X using the Red RAW and Red Log 310 profile would just be so sweet. I really think this could be a game-changing camera for underwater filmmaking. And if the ZR isn't the perfect vlogging camera, I really don't know what it is. Small form factor, 7.5 stops of IBIS, internal 32-bit float, a shotgun that can utilize that 32-bit float. Again, that flippy giant monitor just looks so nice. I just want to hold it in my hands and use it. Internal Red RAW to match the KX. I've said that multiple times. I feel like it's just perfect for the work that I do. And what else could I see this camera being used for? It would be an epic trail cam, which is something I really want to get into. Small, portable, who knows, I could put it up on a tree or in a log or something. I could probably get some sort of tow cam for it. It's so small that I imagine the housing for it's just gonna be so small. So building, a torpedo kind of tow cam for it, I think would be much easier than a bigger setup. And again, definitely I need a B cam for interviews. The R5 is fine, but it's just hard to match, and it doesn't really hold up. It doesn't have, that nice Red RAW. It's just the ZR, man. I need it. And with its ridiculously cheap price, I could probably get 2 of them. I just think the possibilities are really endless with this camera. So here's my dilemma. I've been using Canon glass since forever. All of my glass is Canon EF, L series glass, or vintage Canon glass. Do I spend the money upgrading my Komodo X to a Z mount instead of the RF mount? Do I really want to switch all of my lenses over? I've heard that the EF glass can still be used with Z mount. I just don't know how good it is. I hear everybody talking about how great Sony glass is with the Z mount. I don't know if EF is the same way. I got to do more research into that. The other thing is, I really love this EF to RF adapter Canon that I can just slot a filter into. It's pretty cheap, and it gets rid of the fact that the KX doesn't have internal NDs. Do I have to get another sort of adapter? Probably a much more expensive adapter to go from Z to EF with a filter inside of it. I do really like the idea of fully integrated gear, like using lenses that are for your camera. Do I really want to buy a new 24 to 70, 60 to 600, 100 to 400, 16 to 35? I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. So that's my big issue. And then, thinking about it, what do I do with the R5? It's so beat up. I honestly think it's probably time to retire it and just put it in a glass box somewhere and just have it as sort of a relic. Really, the camera that got my career going. I filmed some of the most incredible things on that camera. So sorry, R5, you might be benched for the ZR at some point here. But yeah, these are all the things that I'm thinking with this new announcement of this new camera. I really do think it could be game-changing. Just to be clear, this is definitely not an A cam. It doesn't have any mounting points. It has a micro HDMI. Nobody's gonna use that. Can't really get any XLR into it. So this is not A cam. I have the Komodo X for that. But as a B cam, man, I can really see this thing being used in just about every scenario. Just a month ago, I was happy and content with just maybe getting another R5, just to have that third camera for vlogging and whatever else. But the ZR has really made me rethink everything. I think I'm gonna have to get one or two of them. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you watched it all the way to the end, really appreciate it. These are just some of my thoughts with all these new crazy cameras coming out. I really think the ZR can be game-changing for the work that I do as a documentary and wildlife cinematographer. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below if you're excited for the ZR as much as I am. Really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.